Yaffee program on WVNN.
7-0. Let's memorize those numbers today. 7-0. That is what Alabama's new map should look like. 7-0. And the 7 being 7 GOP-leaning districts because of what the court has done here. It was breaking news during my show yesterday. I'm going to give you more of the details and the reaction, of course. But it's funny, well, not ironic, I guess, that we had this special session to go back to the 2023 map, have a special primary, all that stuff. Because of the Supreme Court ruling, the reason why they just went back to the other map rather than doing a 7-0 map, one reason that I was told is, well, that has a better chance of making it through the courts. So we have to do this because if we go too far, it's not going to make it through the courts, blah, blah, blah. Well, now the 6-1 map didn't make it through the courts. Now, at least so far, it will. The Supreme Court is going to overturn what this 3-judge panel did here. I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed, I think. But the fact we have to go through this process again is annoying. So when we talk about the judicial oligarchy, I haven't said that in a while, but you brought it up. Yes, there are many judges who are activists in this country who are not ruling based on the rule of law, but what they feel. And they would rather use their position to start virtue signaling about who they are and what they believe rather than interpret what the rule of law actually is. And this is the latest example of that. You already knew that. I'm curious. Is anyone else frustrated? I shouldn't be surprised, but it's still pretty frustrating. We'll talk about this, the injunction against Alabama's new redistricting map as the redistricting gerrymandering bonanza continues across the country. You're listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute here on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. Also coming up on the show, I always like to tell you what's coming up. We have the Alabama bullet points, more details on the redistricting battle, and more details on the upcoming elections, the runoffs. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to speak with Congressman Barry Moore, who, as you know, made the runoff for the U.S. Senate going against Jared Hudson. Two very different polls on that race that we have to talk about, but I'm going to ask the congressman as well about this redistricting stuff. Also, the latest in Iran, other stuff going on. Later on in the show, I will give you an update on Iran. We also have an update on the election that happened in Texas yesterday, which is beyond, everyone's focusing on the fact that Trump's candidate won, but it's really beyond that. That was Texas Republican voters sending a message. That's what that was. So we'll have that. At the top of the next hour, we'll speak with Hans von Spakovsky. He's a legal expert from the Huntsville area. He's been on the show many times. I want to get his take on what the 3-judge panel said. He's been an expert when it comes to this issue, so we'll talk to him later on. There's also a crazy story out of Alabama, speaking of crazy judges, where it seems to be a theme. One judge was basically suspended because she was too busy posting on social media instead of doing her job. So that's a thing. We'll end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. We always take your text messages on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. And yes, we'll get to What's Trending later on. Walker is here. She's producing. She's going to do What's Trending later on in the show. Walker, how are you today?
I'm feeling pretty refreshed after the long weekend. I did a Lord of the Rings marathon, extended edition, and it was an amazing experience.
Man, that's like, so you spent 10 hours watching Lord of the Rings, basically.
I think it's closer to 11, but yes.
Wow. So how did this work? I'm curious. I have the extended edition as well. I've seen them. But how did you start Friday night? Did you go to Saturday?
Started Saturday night. We watched the first two, and then Sunday we watched the third one.
So and I made it all done in 2 days?
Yes. And I made a big charcuterie board to snack on during it.
I mean, that's very nerdy, I have to admit, but...
Thank you.
I mean, it sounds like fun. So, I mean, you must have not went to bed till pretty late on Saturday night.
It was pretty late, yes.
Oh, man, that's great. All right, so let me give people the update. Definitely want to get your reaction on the text line as well. Let me read the latest from Yellowhammer News if you're just catching up to what we're talking about here. Federal judge blocks Alabama congressional map ahead of the special primaries. So in its ruling, this is what the 3-judge panel actually wrote. The goal of this, seriously. They said, ultimately, we cannot see our way clear to requiring Alabamians to cast their votes in the 2026 elections under a districting plan tainted by intentional race-based discrimination. Now, the judges also noted that keeping the court-ordered map in place would not significantly disrupt Alabama's election process. It said, and under the unusual circumstances of this case, we conclude that a limited order requiring the secretary to continue using the court's race-blind map will not disrupt Alabama's elections. Now, just so you know, what the court just said there is not true. It is not a race-blind map. They ordered Alabama to draw a map based on race. What Alabama changed it to was a race-blind map. If you're going to force a state to draw majority districts, by definition, it's not race-blind. Yet that's what the court is saying. Man. Okay, let me continue on with what they said. They said all candidates ran under the race-blind map until 15 days ago, and all voters remain districted or directed under the race-blind map in electoral computer systems. So basically, this court came out knowing what the Supreme Court said, knowing that this is going to be overturned. They had to have known that. But despite all of that, they came out, they called Alabama racist. That's what they did. Make no bones about it. They are calling Alabama lawmakers racist and saying you have to go back to what they called a race-blind map, which is not a race-blind map at all, under any definition. So Nathaniel Ledbetter came out. He's the Speaker of the Alabama House. He said, ultimately, well, hold on. Sorry, let me get to the right part here. He said, 3 activist judges are trying to silence the voices of over 5 million Alabamians. We look forward to seeing what SCOTUS, Supreme Court, has to say about that. He said, yet again, the 3-judge panel has decided to force a racially gerrymandered court-drawn congressional map upon the people of Alabama. As disappointing as this decision is, it is ultimately unsurprising, given their long track record of siding with liberal plaintiffs and handing Democrats congressional victories in the courtroom. Elections should be decided by voters at the ballot box, not activist judges who believe they know better than the people they were appointed to serve. I mean, he's right about that, but what comes next? So we have Steve Marshall as well, Alabama Attorney General, who said this is already going to be appealed to the Supreme Court, which it is. I mean, the Supreme Court's going to overturn this. That's what's most amazing about this. This court knows what they're doing. This isn't just, oh, well, we're doing what we think is the law and everything, and we're going with the Supreme Court. No. That's not what you're doing. You are blatantly going against the Supreme Court, and you know it. But this is the Attorney General. He said, I believe this decision is blatantly in violation of the Supreme Court's ruling in Calais versus Louisiana and will not stand once it's presented before a higher court. Actually, I'm sorry, that's what Ledbetter said. That was him continuing on. Steve Marshall said, this is a very fluid situation, and I'll do my best to keep the people of Alabama apprised of our efforts. Marshall said in a statement, know this in my mind, it's not a matter of whether we win the case or, wow, it'd be nice if I could read today. Steve Marshall said this. Know this, in my mind, is not a matter of whether we win the case, only when. So when they win the case. Now, apparently, Governor Kay Ivey has come out as well, saying that, yes, we're going to have to redistrict this against this decision. But I heard Dale in his show, and I agree. You know, if you're going to play games, which is this is what this court is doing, then fine, let's play. Kay Ivey should call another special session. We should redraw the map. We can draw out Terry Sewell. I don't know what the excuse is now. We had the excuse, oh, well, it's not going to make it through the court. Well, this one didn't either, apparently. So redraw it. But this is just such a blatant example of a court and of judges basing a decision not off the rule of law or even what the Supreme Court said, but they believe, well, Alabama, their lawmakers are racist. So we're going to stop them because we're the good judges. And we're going to say our map is race neutral when it's not in any shape or form. And I'm of the belief of what Justice Thomas said. I think it was actually Justice John Roberts, Chief Justice. During one of the questioning in the oral arguments, he said, you know, if we're going to stop discriminating based on race, how about we stop discriminating based on race? At some point, we have to go by the belief that we treat everyone the same, no matter their race. But the left believes that the only way to cure past discrimination is future discrimination, which, of course, is not true, causes more division and more problems. So what do you think? Let me know on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. I mean, you could literally just type 7-0 if you agree with me. Say 7-0. Forget it. 7-0. That was my reaction before when you had Wandalyn Gavan out there, who lost her primary election, by the way. But when you had her out there calling Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom for his decision, I was just say, forget it. 7-0. You can weigh in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. By the way, the text line is brought to you by RegenesisStemCell.com. Make an appointment today at Regenesis Stem Cell Center. Maybe your joints are a little extra sore because sometimes if you have an issue with your knee, say, and you know when it's raining, it's been raining a lot in the past week or so, and you feel it even more in your joints, even more in your bones, and that can be a problem, of course. Well, it doesn't have to be a problem. Contact Dr. Charles Lee today, Regenesis Stem Cell Center. They use your own body's adult stem cells with top-of-the-line equipment to take away the pain. No invasive surgery, practically no downtime, and it works. It's great. It changed my life. It can change your life as well. So make an appointment today on their website, RegenesisStemCell.com, RegenesisStemCell.com. When you do, let them know Yaffee sent you. Got the Alabama bullet points coming up next. Much more to get to on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Listen, it is not too late to stop this. Do not do this. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. It's damn near perfect. It's beautiful as it is. Stop trying to fix what ain't broke. And stop telling me that the tournament isn't the tournament unless the 15th place team in the SEC gets in. Stop jerking with the best event in all of sports, you pigs.
The Jim Rome Show podcast.
What's your beef?
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
You could pop up in WWE tomorrow. Would Saraya be there or would Paige be there?
Paige, 100%.
So when you're setting up Logan Paul to frog splash you through the announce table, it's going through your mind.
This should make every headline in the world.
It makes sense, right? And Jelly Roll.
We knew we had that kind of a moment.
Mindset, motivation, and what it takes to succeed. Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.